In 1995, when we were setting out on our first European trip in search of the Celtic Arc, we left behind two very dear Celtic friends on Lindisfarne, or Holy Island as it's now called. And these were two people we've been getting to know over the years of living in Northumberland. Their names were Aidan and Cuthbert. I'm going to introduce to you Aidan first as he preceded Cuthbert. Aidan, an Irish monk, heard the call to go south to Northumbria while living on Iona. King Oswald had requested missionaries from Iona to come to his kingdom to bring the gospel to which he had been himself converted. King Oswald had a perfect command of Irish and would often be a translator for Aidan and his monks while they learnt the language. Aidan made great impact on the unteachable and barbaric peoples as described by a former missionary monk to Northumbria. His spirit of humility and practical wisdom, plus his skillful and gentle manner of teaching, singled him out for the job. An isolated place for solitude and prayer to prepare for the demands of mission were vital. So in 625 AD, Aidan established a monastery on the island of Lindisfarne. In order to access people, Aidan would walk everywhere on foot. To unbelievers he gave hope. To believers he taught the value of prayer and biblical teaching, and using the money that was given to him secured the welfare of many children and the freedom of many slaves. Aidan also received royal gifts, one being a fine horse which he gave away to a poor man. We could certainly do with a few more St. Aidans in our materialistic world today. St. Aidan became known as the Apostle of Northumbria, and the North East the cradle of Christianity. St. Cuthbert, our other Northumbrian friend, was an Anglo-Saxon who became a monk, a bishop and a hermit. He had an unusual call from God. It was receiving a vision of the soul of Aidan being carried to heaven by angels. It was in 651 AD that Cuthbert decided to become a monk, but not before doing some military service. In 665 AD he went as prior to Lindisfarne, after already working at two new monasteries, one being Ripon and the other Melrose, which was also founded by St. Aidan. This was post-Whitby Synod time, so the residue of monks here were looking to the continent for spiritual leadership, and although Cuthbert had been taught in the Irish disciplines, he had also been influenced by the Romans, so was able to make the transition run smoother, and by his gentle leadership, devotion and sanctity was ideal for the job. He was in much demand as a spiritual guide and was widely known for his spiritual gift of healing. He too, like Aidan, was an active missionary and would travel miles in the Cheviot Hills, ministering to all in need. After a short period of time on the tiny islet adjoining Lindisfarne, he moved to the more remote larger island of Inner Farne and built a hermitage. His hermit call to fight the spiritual forces of evil in a life of solitude was upon him. This was his new and final home. People still did not leave him alone. They would come in their little boats to consult him and ask for healing. At the age of 50, Cuthbert was asked by the church and the king to leave his hermitage and become a bishop. He reluctantly agreed, and for 2 years he was an active travelling bishop as Aidan had been. Knowing that his death was imminent, he returned to Inner Farne, where in the company of Lindisfarne monks died in 687 AD. One sad memory leaving the shores of Northumberland was saying goodbye to Cuthbert and Aidan. I remember standing opposite Cuthbert's island and giving to them the broken pieces of the Celtic Arc vision and bidding them farewell, and just never knowing if we'd walk again the shores of Northumberland, because ours was a call to peregrinate to Turkey to meet John the Apostle and Mary, the mother of Jesus, to actually start at the very beginnings.